Pretty interesting to see a lawmaker saying, I'm on the side of the company. You don't usually hear that stuff. You hear that businesses need to stay open, stuff like that. That was a different note there. You don't really hear that all that often. Let's talk with our good friend Jacob Morrison. You hear him right here on WVNN from 9:30 to 11 every single Saturday. He does a great job, and I will continue to love the fact that he's on WVNN offering up that alternate point of view. Jacob has been covering a couple of different stories here in the state when it comes to labor, and it is pretty clear where Jacob stands. He's on the side of the workers. Sometimes we all know, at least in my opinion, Jacob will probably disagree with this, the unions work against their own best interests, and sometimes they're in the right. Jacob, he's taking umbrage with State Representative Debbie Wood, Representative Valley, when she was asked, which side are you on in a labor dispute at the West Rock paper mill in Cottonton. She said this: I am very much on the side of management. Now, management locked out the workers on October 6th because they wouldn't ratify a new contract that did not include long-held penalties against overwork. So they changed the law, changed the rules there. The workers seeking to add those protections back in. And there are some other issues there as well. They're talking about a loss of pay, etc. Now, he goes on to write this: the revenue for West Rock's $19 billion. The profit for the same year was $3.4 billion, and the workers want a piece there. Pretty interesting to see a lawmaker saying, I'm on the side of the company. You don't usually hear that stuff, Jacob. You hear that, these businesses need to stay open, stuff like that. That was a different note there. You don't really hear that all that often. Were you surprised to hear that?
Yes. Yeah, I was very much surprised to hear that. You can tell later in the piece, I called several area representatives that represent either the district that the mill is actually located in or close to it. And most of them, including every single Democrat, I do want to just highlight that I did not get a response from a single Democrat, even though this is in the Black Belt area of the state. So there are a lot of Democratic representatives, and not a single one even responded to me, much less said that they're on the side of the workers. But you can tell that most of the people who do respond said that, I don't want to comment, it's private negotiations, blah, blah. And that's pretty common. So I wasn't really expecting this to be its own piece. I'm working on a longer follow-up piece to some reporting that I did for the Real News Network. And I just expected, the lack of support from state representatives to be a part of that longer piece. But yeah, it definitely not normal to just come out and say, I'm very much on the side of management. That's a direct quote. I've got a recording of a phone call. And it's especially strange given that at the time that she said that, she also said, quote, that I have not been made privileged to anything that's going on between the workers and management. So she didn't even know at that point what the dispute was. She didn't know what the workers were upset about or why management locked them out. All she knew, purportedly, this is what she's telling me, maybe she lied to me, but all she told me was that she didn't know what was going on. She only knew that there was a lockout, and so therefore I must be on the side of management. So that's just bizarre.
So the angle here is much like the other labor story that we've been hearing about in the state of Alabama, where there's the contention between business and the workers, the concern about future profits and things of that nature. No one's getting paid right now, though. I mean, that's really the story here. And they, like you said, October 6th, this is how long it's been going on. Is there any end in sight for either of these major labor issues here in the state?
Probably you're alluding to the coal miner strike.
Yes.
I don't see as much of an end in sight there at this point, but But the steelworkers here at the paper mill in Cottonton, Alabama, they do feel pretty good about being able to come back after the new year. And actually, in the course of my reporting for this, a lot of them, ever since Thanksgiving, have been hoping that this would last through the new year, because I've talked to so many of them. And almost every single one of these workers said, this is the first time that I've been able to take Thanksgiving off. This is the first time that I've been able to take Christmas off in a 20-year career. So they're like, screw them. I'm going to have, this is a long vacation for me, and I'm excited about it. And I'm going to, a quote from one of the wives is, I'm going to take every day that they give me. So they're not worried about it, and they feel pretty good about their position. The Mart Mill in Cottonton is West Rock's most profitable mill. So they feel pretty good about their position and being able to come back in the new year. And just for folks, just to underline what the issues are, they, in the proposed contract, they were only given by the company a 2 to 3% wage increase every year. And we all know that's well below inflation. They only wanted to retain protections against overwork that they have always had since 1966.
Why did they want them? Why did the company want that gone?
Because their argument is that it's not industry standard to have these protections against overwork, which is time and a half on Sundays and time and a half back to the first hour of the shift if it goes over 16 hours. And so imagine a company being willing to go to the mat to work their employees over 16 hours and not pay them a little bit of extra money for that shift. That's what this company is doing. And the union estimates, like I say in this piece, that doing that, if they worked the same amount that they have in the past, 44% of the hours worked in this mill are overtime. So if they took away these protections against overwork and worked the same amount, that would amount to a 10% reduction in pay for these workers at the same time that executive compensation at West Rock is up 53% year over year. That's the average executive pay among the dozen or so executives. It's up 53% year over year. They're asking these people to take a 10% pay cut, and they're willing to lock them out.
It's wild. Let me ask you this: How do you feel about the state of reporting in this state when it comes to these issues? I mean, look, we got a left-leaning media. I know you're a liberal. There's no question about it. But, man, they just don't care about labor issues at all. All they care about is national social issues. Isn't that strange to you?
Yeah, it's absolutely bizarre. I'm thankful that the Alabama Political Reporter was willing to run this. I mean, we know that the Yellowhammer News wouldn't have run it, right? But, it's something that I have, over the course of reporting for this, and this is a national outlet that I'm reporting on this for, and the Alabama Political Reporter ran this one quick hit. But there's several things that I'm going to be breaking in my reporting that should be, local news stories. This should be coming out every week.
Let me ask you this, and I'm going to toot my own horn here for a second. We've been doing stuff together for a long time. I disagree with 90% of what you say here, but not in this particular issue, but just in general. Even though we disagree, we've boosted your profile pretty high, right? You agree?
I appreciate it, but I also cut you a check every month.
No, I'm not suggesting you don't. I'm merely saying. Yes, you buy time on WVNN, but man, you'd have a hard time buying that talk time on any other radio station in this state. You know that, right? I
appreciate it, Dale. Yep.
All right, there we go. Look, you can't even give me a little praise there. Good Lord. All right, thanks a lot. Jacob Morrison, we appreciate it. Yes, Jacob Morrison does buy time here on the weekend, but I like his show. I disagree with it. I think it's entertaining. I think it's informative. You should check it out. Valley Labor Report, 9:30 to 11, right here on WVNN.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.